early Monday afternoon matchup between the Warriors and Wizards. Of course, the Wizards trying to do like they did last year and beat the visiting team. Unfortunately, tonight did not go their way. A hot hand from Steph Curry allowed the Warriors to walk away with a 127-118 victory. Again on a Monday afternoon, mind you, in the absence of Bradley Beal. Welcome to Postgame Live. Wes Hall in the perch with Christy Winters-Scott. Will be joined by Chris, Drew, and Megan momentarily. Throughout this postgame show, we will continue to honor the life and legacy of Dr. King. But first, Christy, as we look at the game that took course today, we've got to talk about what we saw today. This was a close game back and forth. In the fourth quarter, a little bit of separation.
Well, there was a lot of great balance for Washington. On the offensive end, they had 5 players in double figures. I thought that they did a great job defensively. They were trying to contain the three-point line, which they did, but I tell you what, Steph Curry is from another planet because you cannot guard him any better than he was guarded tonight. He was just making incredible shot after shot. But when it comes down to it, Washington's effort was great, but down the stretch, they had that 5-point lead. Yeah. It dissipated down the stretch because they did not finish their great defensive plays with buckets.
And it just turned out to be one of those nights where you look at the shooting for the Wizards tonight. Porzingis gives you 32, Gafford 14, Monte Morris 17. This is in the starting lineup, minus Bradley Beal again. Kuzma, right, what would some consider would be a bad game for him with 16 points, gave you another double with 11 points. But the Unicorn doing everything that he could. He had 25 in the first half, and again, the added the additional 7 in the second. Christy, what do you make of his game tonight, knowing that he was carrying a load?
Well, he was incredibly efficient, 9 of 15 from the floor, and he got it in a myriad of ways. He wasn't just pulling threes. He was getting downhill, putting the ball on the deck, and attacking the rim and finishing with contact. That's what KP needs to continue to do. He's going to draw a crowd, but he's 7'3". He can just rise and fire and lift up and flick it over everyone else. So his aggression, I think, stands out to me. On the offensive end, you want to have him knocking in those shots. But again, the balance for Washington across the board was fantastic.
Indeed, there were a couple of matchups, I have to admit, where he was guarded by Steph Curry, and I'm like, back him down, back him down.
Take him down.
Decided to take a shot, but he's the pro, I'm the talker, and I want to bring in Chris and Drew to get their opinion on this as well. Guys, we talked about the importance of this day to the league and to this nation and its players, its people, but the Wizards wanted to walk away today, Drew, with the win.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they did not do that, but they competed. It came down to the last 6 minutes of this ball game when I said, hey, listen, the Warriors, they're about to lock in right now. You're about to see why they're a dynasty and why they've won so much and been in so many different crucial positions throughout the course of this team's history. And you saw it. You saw it in that last 6 minutes how they turned up. They did not turn the ball over. They got the ball in the right man's hands. That was Steph Curry, and he just went off. Him and Jordan Poole combining for 73 points, 13 for 28 from the three-point line. Steph Curry, when you did run him off the line, of the three-point line, he got to the foul line where he only missed 1 free throw where he was 11 for 12. It was just that fourth quarter, and it just was too much. That last 6 minutes, they did not make any mistakes, and the Wizards, unfortunately, they did.
The Wizards had an 8-point lead, 106-98 with 9:31 remaining in the fourth. After that, the Warriors went on a 29-12 run. Curry, Poole really kind of kept the Warriors going. But Draymond Green really put that championship DNA on display in that fourth quarter to close the game out. There's something that we've noticed here. There's a trend in these last 4 Wizards losses. They've allowed 123.5 points per game. Tonight, they gave up 127. It's on the defensive end, guys. Offensively, they did well enough to win this game.
Chris, one of the things that I think about, too, though, is the difference in style that the Warriors play. We know that they can shoot at a high proficiency. Knocking down threes is what they've made their name on. But it's such a contrast when you look at the Bulls games and the Knicks games where we've seen those kind of be grit and grindy, competitions. Did the Wizards learn something today from facing against the Warriors that they can take moving forward?
I think they got caught tonight. I think you get caught in the way that the Golden State Warriors like to play. I've said this for the last 4 or 5 years. You kind of get seduced into that, like, oh, they're shooting threes. I want to shoot threes too.
I think individually, if you're going to switch bigs on to Steph Curry, they're going to have to push up and force him to be a driver. You cannot. Once you take one step back, he is stepping back for threes. He's not going to the basket. So that's all the setup dribble that I've been seeing with Steph, to set you up defensively, to go backwards on your heels, and he is stepping back and tattooing you with threes. The times that you made it tough on him, you pushed up, rolled his hip, forced him to Porzingis. He got his shot blocked twice and missed the layup. I think if you're going to give yourself a chance, it's hard to stop that man, but if you're going to give yourself a chance, you're going to have to take away those threes as much as possible, and your momentum can't be going backwards on your heels.
Well, if you're going to take away the threes, is it good when you have a guy like Monte Morris put up a couple of threes to try to counteract that? I mean, he had 3 of them himself, Christy.
Absolutely. The balance, again, coming through with Monte Morris. He had 9 assists and 0 turnovers to go along with his 17 points. And that's what he needs to do. That's what the team needs for him to do. They missed his presence in the last game because he's the straw that stirs the drink for the Wizards. He has great games when he takes the ball to the basket, but when he can add the 3 ball to his arsenal, it's just really tough to guard him when he gets downhill and, again, stays aggressive, the same as Kristaps Porzingis. He was intentional with getting to his sweet spots all across the floor on all 3 levels when you're hitting threes, getting to that mid-range with the float game, but he was also getting all the way to the cup and finishing.
You know what I think about too, guys? We talk about, you know, the proficiency of a Steph Curry and many other guys like that. They didn't have Klay Thompson tonight, but we didn't have Bradley Beal. So when I look at the next matchup against the Knicks, what can we apply from the first time we saw the Knicks, but then switching gears with the Warriors, Drew, now facing New York once again?
Listen, there's going to be some guard play involved. You know that Jalen Brunson is playing at a high level right now, along with Julius Randle. So you're going to have to deal with 2 type of forces. You're going to have to deal having to lock down the perimeter and then having to deal with Julius Randle on isolation situations in that mid-post, being able to score, get you in foul trouble, and facilitate for his teammates. So I'm looking forward to that Kyle Kuzma-Julius Randle matchup, but it's going to come down to that guard play, because don't forget about R.J. Barrett, who's averaging a little under 20 points himself.
I said after the game on Friday that if Bradley Beal can play, now let's see what the Wizards look like whole against this Knicks team. But the one guy that we didn't mention, Mitchell Robinson also. That matchup between him and Daniel Gafford will be one that I'm going to keep my eye on Wednesday night.
Indeed, a lot to look forward to, guys. We wish we could have let you go with the win today, but we appreciate it. And again, Chris, thank you for your kind words in Wizards Pregame Live. We really appreciated driving home the importance of this day, the sacrifice and service that Dr. King wished we would all employ. So thank you again, friend.
I'm just honored to be here with you guys talking about basketball on a very significant day.
Appreciate it, guys. Until next time, we'll see you later. Christy, you and I are going to bring in Megan McPeak here in this conversation as well and get her thoughts on the game. Megan, courtside with us. We all witnessed what we saw tonight. Wizards and Warriors going back and forth. But as Chris, Drew, and Christy and I have all said, that fourth quarter, that was separation season.
Yeah, when you look at this Warriors team, I mean, if you are going to get in a shootout with them, you better have just as much in your arsenal as they do. And unfortunately, the Wizards just didn't have enough in the tank to go shot for shot with them. And they put themselves in a situation where you let Steph Curry start to stir that drink, as Christy said, with Monte Morris, the way he stirs the Wizards drink. But Steph was doing it with a lot of space left, and that's the frustrating part when you think of, you know the scouting report, and you know that you've got to give him the cushion because he likes to drive, but as well too, you have to also be there to contest the shot. And I thought there was a couple instances where they respected the drive way too much. And when it comes to Steph Curry, he has made his money from beyond the arc. He has made his money from 25 feet and beyond. He has not made his money under 15 feet. So why not just give him the twos, as Drew was alluding to throughout the entire broadcast? Give him the twos. Threes are worth more than 2, so why not give him the 2? But I thought they just allowed him to percolate a little too often tonight. Yeah,
you talk about that effective field goal percentage. Yes, that's what people need to say. Thank you for the pseudo tutorial there on that one, Megan. But Kyle Kuzma, let's talk about it. 40 minutes like you had against the Knicks, but we didn't get 40 points this time. You got 16 points and 11 rebounds and a double-double, and what might seem like an off shooting night for him, Christy.
It was off at the beginning, but what Kyle Kuzma does is always dramatic, right? So towards the end of the game, he got himself in a rhythm. This was at the end of the first quarter when he nailed that logo 3, but he got cooking down the stretch when Washington needed buckets, when they needed momentum. Kyle Kuzma was right there cleaning up on the offensive boards, knocking in contested threes. That's just what he does. He wants those moments. So when you have a Kyle Kuzma not hitting shots early, that's never really a worry, because at the end of the game, when it counts, when it matters, when it's a 2-point, 5-point game. He's a difference maker in those stretches, but it just came down to not getting enough offense down the stretch for Washington as a whole after a very balanced performance across the board by the team.
And let's not be remiss. I mean, I'm not even going to fawn over Golden State at all, but we do have to acknowledge, like you said, Megan, the firepower that they have on their team. You have to be able to match that firepower, and they do not allow for any room to make mistakes. Tonight, the mistakes were made in the fourth quarter, so that with that question in mind, Megan, how can they make the adjustments necessary, whether they face the Warriors, whether they face the Knicks? We haven't even seen Atlanta yet on this season.
Yeah, I think they're going to do what they do every single time. They're going to go to the film. They're going to look at that. They're going to make adjustments and try to be able to be ready for Wednesday. Because at the end of the day, this is, as you know, Chris and Drew talked about. Obviously, you have to worry about what they can do inside with regards to the Knicks and Randall and Robinson. But you also have to respect what they do from the perimeter, because Jalen Brunson's been putting up numbers. So you can learn something from tonight. And you just saw the Knicks the other night. So you have recency on your side with how you can adjust and make improvements going into the game against the Knicks. But at the end of the day, you have to still work on what you work on. You have to play to your strengths. And I know it seems like it was so long ago, but on that West Coast road trip, and I know Chris mentioned it on broadcast, in the walk-off that I had with Kyle Kuzma, he said we need to stop playing to teams and we need to start making teams adjust to us. And I thought that they did a great job of that in the first half tonight. And for whatever reason, that forcing the Warriors to adjust to them in the second half, it didn't happen the way it was in that first half. I would like to see them do that on Wednesday versus the Knicks team. You saw them recently, so you know what they can do. Make them now adjust to you, and if you can also add Bradley Beal into the mix, that's another adjustment they have to make. I want to see them start making teams consistently, not just here and there, consistently make adjustments to the Wizards and not the other way around.
You know what's crazy when it's all said and done? Looking at the box score from tonight, there's only a 1-point difference between field goal percentage between teams. A 1-point difference percentage-wise between both teams' 3-point shooting. The difference numerically was the 4 more threes that the Warriors had tonight. Megan, don't move. I want to go to Coach Wes Hall Jr. right now at the post-game podium and get his thoughts on this afternoon.